The Boston Celtics are the hottest team in the East right now, and they're doing it with defense.
They are clearly the best defensive team.
Their signature has been, they will shut you down. They defend.
But what if I told you that the Celtics turned around their season, but it's not because of their defense? Weird, right? Well, what's even weirder is not liking this video, subscribing and helping the channel grow. And now let's dive into another episode of... Okay, before you start getting in the comments saying, Prime, you were just questioning the Celtics just a month back, so are you on the bandwagon now? Well, I do give players and teams room to improve and work on their weaknesses, and if they do, and they prove it to me, I'm open-minded to let them change my opinion. If you haven't watched my video where I question whether the Celtics winning streak in January and Feb was legit or not, I'll leave the link in the description. You'll see what I questioned about the Celtics was two things. Their winning streak in Jan and Feb happened when they didn't play many playoff level teams and had been beating up on weaker teams. And number two, their offense was still underwhelming. Just average, it ranked 14th at All-Star break. Now, about reason number one, the 2022 Celtics will go down as having one of the greatest runs in franchise history. Since Jan 1st, the Celtics are 30-10, winning 75% of their games. Over that time, they've beaten some of the best teams in the league, the number 2 seeded Grizzlies, the Nets with KD and Kyrie, the Warriors, when Marcus Smart injured Steph Curry, the number 1 offense in the league, the Utah Jazz, the MVP favorite Jokic and the Nuggets, the 27-14 since Jan 1st Minnesota Timberwolves. Sure, they also beat the Bulls who were missing Zach LaVine, the Heat without Lowry and Butler, but they have beaten fully healthy teams since the All-Star break. So the momentum that the Celtics built up is now just the new level that they play at, which I have to give them credit for. They look legit. Most people keep talking about how good the Celtics defense has been since Jan 1st and claiming the defense is why they turned the season around. And I partially agree with that statement. I agree that turning their season around is because the Celtics have been absolutely dominant on defense this calendar year. Since Jan 1st, they have the best defensive rating, so good that they have a net rating of 12.8 since Jan 1st, highest in the league. That net rating number is so high that it compares to some of the best in history. League history. The 73-9 Warriors had a net rating of 10.6. That's the greatest team in regular season history. The greatest team ever assembled, the KD Steph Curry Warriors, had a net rating of 11.4. This year's Boston Celtics have the second highest net rating in NBA history, only behind the 95-96 Chicago Bulls. The Celtics' defensive improvement this season since Jan 1st definitely contributed to this historic net rating. Let me break down their defense real quick. They're really good at guarding and keeping players in front of them and contesting shots. Opponents shoot a league worst 42.4% from the field and third worst from 3. The length of Horford, Robert Williams, Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart are able to contest shots without fouling on defense. They commit the second least personal fouls per game, and opponents shoot the second least free throws against them. Without drawing fouls and taking contested shots, opponents miss a ton of shots, and the Celtics are very good at closing out defensive possessions with defensive rebounds, ranking 4th in defensive rebounds per game. When they guard, they either contest and players shoot bad shots resulting in bad efficiency numbers, or they get blocked straight up. Boston averages the second most blocks per game at 6.3. So many of the key stats on defense, the Celtics are straight up dominating across the board. Now, moving on to the concerns I had about their offense. I did have issues with how the Celtics offense was very ISO heavy and the ball was dominated by Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And this is where I think the post-game comments Marcus Smart had made about Tatum and Brown, ball hogging and not passing to their teammates, was the primary reason why the season turned around. Before Jan 1st, the Celtics ranked 21st in assists per game. Now, they rank 9th in assists per game. The improved ball movement has opened up the offense and improved the spacing for Tatum and Brown to operate in. Tatum has also improved in his playmaking, but since Jan 1st, he's scoring more points and averaging 1 more assist than earlier in the season. Overall, the team's offensive rating improved from 20th before Jan 1st to 3rd afterward. They score the ball more efficiently now. Their 23rd ranked field goal percentage has jumped up to 4th. Their 24th ranked 3-point percentage improved to 4th best as well. Their 23rd ranked effective field goal percentage shot up to 4th, and they have a true shooting percentage of 59.7, which ranks 4th, and used to rank 21st in October, November, December. One change I do also like about their offense is that they're not a team that depends heavily on free throws and foul baiting to have a scoring attack. Opponents commit the 5th fewest personal fouls against Boston. which is interesting because before Jan 1st, opponents committed the 10th most fouls against Boston. So the Celtics can score well with the 4th best offense and do it efficiently without having to rely on referees bailing them out like certain other teams and players. And as you can see, the difference between the 2021 and 2022 numbers isn't actually that high. The defense was already good and it just became absolutely dominant. But to me, the turnaround during the season is because of the massive improvement the offense had that has the Celtics holding the 2nd highest net rating in league history since Jan 1st. At this point, I think the only weakness the Celtics team is showing is a lack of scoring depth on the bench. Before Jan 1st, the Celtics had the 3rd worst scoring bench. After Jan 1st, the bench has been the 8th worst. Derek White didn't exactly change much, increasing the bench scoring to 31.6. The team is top heavy in terms of scoring, but after what Jayson Tatum has shown this season, he's clearly reached that MVP level. If the Celtics run into a team with elite defense or injuries happen and they lose scoring from one of their starters, I trust Jayson Tatum to carry that load. Asking Tatum to pull a Kawhi Leonard and average 30 plus in a playoff series and carry a team is something I think he's already proven this year he's capable of. If the role players have a cold shooting night, the game plan of ask Tatum to score 45 points is always an option and just might end up working too. It was Jayson Tatum's willingness to play more team basketball while also turning into one of the best scorers in the league that kickstarted the offense for the team. So the bench being weak does always have the breaking case of emergency countermeasure. Let Tatum carry. The Celtics have turned their season around after a horrible first 2 months. They dominated their opponents and went on such an unstoppable run that they skyrocketed from the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings. They were 22-22 in the 11th spot on Jan 16th. And exactly 10 weeks later, on March 27th, they reached the number 1 seed for a day. Whether Boston finishes in the 1 seed or not, they made their name as the best team in the East during the regular season. But during that 10-week run, where the Celtics ran the East, went from 11th to 1st in the standings, from the 12th best net rating in the league to the 2nd highest net rating in NBA history, where defense saved a washed season, that 10-week run will go down as the run when Jayson Tatum entered the top 10 tier of players in the NBA. Thanks so much for watching. What do you think about the Celtics looking so dominant after their slow start to the season? Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe and help the channel grow, and I'll catch you next time.